Every year, millions of veterans file for VA benefits, and one of the biggest frustrations we hear about are delays. In 2025, VA continues to process a historic number of claims, but not all of them move at the same pace. Today, we're walking through the top reasons your VA claim might be delayed, and we're going to talk about what you can do to avoid it.
So, first, if you served in the reserves or National Guard, your claim might take longer. That's because VA often has difficulty getting those records, especially. For example, we've seen veterans whose Guard records are stored in state archives or unit headquarters. They're not digitized, they're not centralized, so retrieving them can take weeks or months. Here's a tip. If you have copies of your own Guard or Reserve records, especially service treatment records, submit them up front. It can save some time.
Another big cause of delays: non-standard records that are tough for VA to obtain. This includes things like classified military documents or private medical records from civilian doctors. Here's a real-world example. One veteran had a traumatic brain injury diagnosed by a private neurologist. The records weren't sent because the doctor required a specific signed release and payment for the copies of these records, something VA won't always follow through on. So here's a tip. If your records aren't in VA or in military systems, try to request and submit them yourself. It can at times be faster and most definitely more reliable as well.
The appeal path you choose can also affect your timeline. So, choosing a hearing docket at the Board of Veterans Appeals might seem appealing and it could be the correct choice for your case, but it can also take years to get a decision. We have seen many veterans who have waited over 900 days from filing to board decision just because of the hearing backlog. So, if your evidence is strong, consider the direct docket instead. It's faster, and many cases do not require a hearing.
Now, the more conditions you include in your claim typically means the longer your claim can potentially take for VA to adjudicate those conditions and those claims you've submitted. That's not to say don't file if you're entitled to those benefits, but just know that additional issues can add additional time for VA to develop your claim. For example, we've often seen claims with 15 or more conditions where VA has prioritized some conditions and delayed others for additional exams or records. So here's our tip. Don't overload your claim with conditions that don't have lasting residuals. In other words, if you're likely to recover completely soon, consider filing that issue later so it doesn't delay what you might consider your more serious claims.
Exposure based claims can also drag on if you think you'll have difficulty proving where you were and what you were exposed to. So here's an example. A veteran filed for toxic exposure in Kosovo in the 1990s. There were no formal logs, and VA had to contact the Department of Defense and research the unit's location. It added months to the timeline. As a tip, you can provide detailed location data, service records, or even buddy statements if you have them. The more you give VA upfront, the less time they spend searching.
Submitting evidence in a foreign language can also cause delays. Now, by law, VA has to translate any non-English material before they can process it. That's an extra step that can oftentimes, at minimum, take weeks. Our practice is to get your documents translated before submission whenever possible. It keeps things moving a little bit quicker.
And, sometimes delays come down to human error. We have seen claims lost, dropped, or misfiled, sometimes just because someone clicked the wrong button at VA. Here's a well known example. In August 2022, a major technical malfunction within the VA disability claims processing software caused entire files to go unassigned or lost within the system. Now, that meant that as many as 32,000 veterans' claims were left unprocessed, some of which dated back years. These claims were essentially forgotten and left in limbo until manually discovered. Our tip for this type of situation is that a VA-accredited representative or attorney can track your claim internally using tools like VBMS and Caseflow. We can spot problems long before VA sends out a letter.
Which now brings us to our last tip, which is that if you're struggling with claim delays or you haven't filed yet and have one of the situations that we've spoken about above, the right help could make a big difference. VSOs and VA-accredited reps and attorneys can help monitor your claim, respond quickly to issues, and help avoid potentially preventable delays. The bottom line, you deserve a timely decision. The best way to get it is to prepare thoroughly and don't go it alone.